a lot of people are out there and they might be looking for new construction or they might be looking for new homes. And there's a lot of myths around, around houses buying, house hunting right now. And you're here to bust them.
Let's bust some myths,
Bust
brother.
some myths, man. All right, cool. Let's get into it. I mean, what are some of the biggest myths that are out there, and what is nonsense?
Well, there's a lot of nonsense out there, but I thought one to talk about was, a lot of new construction sales are happening right now, and everybody's got a preferred lender on site. And the myth kind of is, hey, you have to go with that preferred lender to get some closing costs help. So I wanted to share a strategy that's worked in the past with the listening audience, and that is you can write in a meet or beat clause. So if you're pre-approved with another lender, and you'll still have to get pre-approved with the preferred lender there, but you can put in some verbiage in there that says preferred lender will meet or beat the previous pre-approved lender's quote. So, which is good because, if they're, for some reason, they're charging a higher interest rate or whatnot to kind of compensate for getting you in and getting all these closing costs, you're able to
and that's actually happened, and people don't realize that. Lenders will oftentimes, supply marketing or whatnot for builders or for a project. Yeah. And they do have to recoup the cost somehow.
Yeah, a lot of these builders are kind of embedded with these lenders too. So it's a good way to protect and make sure you're getting the best deal.
Yeah. What are some other ones? What are some other myths out there outside of...
Let's see. Okay, so for buyers, sometimes they think, hey, I'll offer $50,000 less and the seller will come back and kind of meet us in the middle. So never happens. So I always say kind of put your best foot forward on your offer. You've got an idea as high as you want to go, and then just kind of scale that back a little bit and have a competitive offer in there. So if the home's $300,000 and it's been on the market for a little while, it's totally fine to come in at $285,000.
Been on the market a little while these days. Come on.
Well, some of them have. Some of them, some of them the sellers started high, and there's that opportunity. And when I say on the market while now,
1
that's
week.
like,
no kidding.
Now it's a month, so you have that opportunity to start competitive. But if you come in too low, you're just going to really kind of tick off the seller, and it doesn't work out that well.
Yeah, and that's I think that's an interesting point, but because the negotiation is really the seller put it on the market at a price because that's what they think it's worth, right?
Yeah.
So if you offer them way less, do they get pissed?
Yeah, they do get pissed, and then
I've had pissed on the radio. Yeah, all right.
I used ticked earlier, but let's throw out the piss there.
Sure.
So if you come in too low, I've had this happen a lot. Those sellers will just counter back at full price, and it kind of wastes everybody's time. So you got to find that happy medium.
So that's the second myth, is really that sellers are not necessarily just going to meet you in the middle. What about some listing, when people are out there listing their homes? What are some big myths there?
Well, a lot of kind of on the flip side there is sellers think that, hey, my neighbor's home sold for $300,000. That's probably what mine's worth, but I'm going to list it at $315,000 because I want some room for negotiation. That doesn't always work out that well. I mean, the market is appreciating, and sometimes you will get that a little bit higher price, but if you start high and it sits, you're going to have to come back and intercept the market, and you're kind of losing money in the wrong run there. So you've got to be competitive with that, and you might get multiple offers, which we're seeing a lot on when it's priced correctly like that. So it's a myth that you can still get a good offer, and if you start high, and because you're going to have to correct yourself down the road.
Yeah. How many people are pricing too high right now?
Oh, it's happens, and like we talked about last time I was here, a lot of people are gonna interview several agents, and they'll just go with the agent that gives them the highest amount. And in the long run, they're losing money.
Which is also, that's like another myth. The agent who tells you they can sell it for the most probably can't. Most agents can sell it for the same amount because there's the same buyer pool.
Right. Correct. And what you're gonna do is when you put it on the market, you're obviously looking at other stuff that's sold, and so you could try and do it a lot higher, but remember, it's going to come back to the appraiser, and they're going to use that comp 2 doors down that's the same builder and built the same time and same square footage.
Does a real estate agent have a lot to do with the sales price of a home?
We are giving them opinions on what our estimated value of what the home is going to sell.
But depending on the agent they use. Like if they use, you versus John down the street.
Right.
Is there really a big difference on what you should expect on the sale of your home?
Yeah, I think versus using me or John down the street
is a horrible agent, by the way. John.
I don't know about John.
That
guy.
He's a little weird.
What we're gonna do is we're gonna get more exposure for you. So you're gonna increase that buyer pool where you said there's a similar buyer pool for the house. By doing what we do when we list properties, it's gonna increase your chances of getting an offer in quicker for the most amount of money.
I would imagine the new negotiation has a lot to do with that too.
Yes. Negotiation is a big part of that, and making sure that you have that conversation, figure out what that buyer is, and figure out their needs too, and kind of meet in the middle.
So let's talk even more about some other myths. Let's even go back to the buyer side. You know, I come from the mortgage world. Do people still ask you how much they need down? Do people think financing is just so tight and they need 20%?
Yeah, a lot of people are like, hey, I can't afford to buy a home right now. I don't have that huge down payment kind of thing. So we've had a lot of programs right now. There's still, you can get the house 3.5% down. We've got Home Advantage program where you can get up to 4% of your down payment paid. So there's a lot of opportunities. It all boils down to your debts and income. I mean, can you afford that monthly payment? Do you have good credit? And that kind of brings us to another myth is a lot of people think that they can kind of wheel and deal with all the mortgage officers out there and get a better interest rate when really it comes back to your capabilities as a buyer and your credit score and your income.
Yeah, that's always, we've always seen that. Like, well, I have 800 score. I think you should be able to give me a lower rate. And it's always funny, like it's my money.
Yeah.
I'm the one, I'm writing a check to you for $400,000 out of my personal account that you're going to pay me back over 30 years. It's really... It used to be, a few years back, it was more fluid. There was probably more negotiation, but it wasn't because you really were kind of negotiating with the lender, just the way compensation was. Now, you're really given the interest rate. Like, hello, bank, here's your interest rate. Mm-hmm. And some banks will potentially lower their interest rate to beat a competitor because they want a certain deal.
Yeah.
But the whole, the pure negotiation standpoint, I make way more money. I should get lower rates than everybody. It really isn't based on that. I mean, you kind of get slotted into a piece.
That's a myth.
It is a myth.
And it's been busted.
It's been
Boom.
Busted. Bad copyrights over there, man. We're going to get me in trouble, Tyler. Tyler Freed joins us, branch manager of the Windermere Real Estate Lake Tapps. What about the fact that buyers and what they're paying for when they hire an agent?
Yeah, so sometimes buyers think that they have to actually pay the commission. That's a big myth in the industry, and really that's all coming out of the seller. So the buyer, interview your agents. You're not going to have to worry about that. We don't get paid until the home closes. So that's a big myth there that the buyer has to pay the commission. That all comes out of the sellers.
What about the fact that is the purchase price bumped up a little bit, though, to cover those costs?
It's a good question. I saw a stat, National Association of Realtors last week that said for sale by owners, you're not going to have those commissions there. Those still sell for 17% less than a home that's listed. So there is that markup that's included in the price, but that's what appraisers going off. All these homes have real estate agents included.
Right, and I suppose even the supply and demand, there's less demand for a home that isn't marketed right, so you're probably going to end up with less people looking to buy it.
Yeah, it all boils back to hiring a good agent and marketing the heck out of it and pricing it right.